Joining us now, Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton. He's an Army man, Harvard-educated lawyer, and he will be a featured speaker at the convention on Monday night when the topic is national security. You have all kinds of relevant experience to that topic and many beyond. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I want
to start by getting your reaction to just kind of, we don't know about the motivation of the shooter today, but clearly our law enforcement men and women are targets.
Yeah, we don't know the motivation. This is all just breaking news. I've only been on set here with you for a few minutes and got the latest updates. But what we do know is that law enforcement officers have once again been targeted and killed, just like those 5 officers in Dallas were assassinated and many more killed. I have great respect for what they do. In some ways, what law enforcement officers do is even harder than what we did as soldiers. You know, when we went overseas for a number of months or a year on a combat tour, our families were worried about us, but we came home. And then we were back in a peacetime garrison environment. If you're a police officer for your career, you can do that every single day. And every single day you go out, you don't know what the next stop is going to hold. Your wife or your husband, your kids don't know if you're going to come home at night or if another police officer is going to be knocking on your door with terrible news. So I have the deepest respect and gratitude for what police officers do to keep our streets safe. I think I speak for most Arkansans and Americans, and I know that political leaders should always be supportive of the police.
So how are you feeling about this place we are in this country right now? Because we do have this threat to our law enforcement officers by those who have specific agendas. Sometimes it's terrorism, sometimes it may be something else. I mean, there are those who feel that they can't trust law enforcement. They feel victimized by them, and it seems that there is a gap there. Polling shows that it's growing, this distrust between Americans and law enforcement, especially those in the minority community. How do we begin to have a conversation that's honest, that progresses us to some kind of healing?
Well, I think that's very regrettable if someone feels that they can't trust the police. Because I know the police that we have in my little hometown or a rural county or in Arkansas are looking out for law-abiding citizens. They've got a very tough job, though, because they spend most of their time not around law-abiding citizens that they protect and serve, but rather around the criminal element that is threatening those law-abiding citizens. There's plenty of time to debate, you know, what legal policy or criminal policy should be for elected political leaders in Congress or in state legislatures, the president, governors, and so forth. But it's our police who are on the front lines trying to implement those policies, trying to do the best they can to protect the very citizens who depend on them for their lives.
And of course your focus is going to be on national security. There are so many different ways in which that plays out. This is the most immediate situation we're seeing, this threat to our law enforcement officers. What other things on the home front are of concern to you, and do you think we need to be focused on?
Well, of course, the Islamic State and Al-Qaeda continue to launch attacks around the world. We just saw a horrific attack a few nights ago in Nice, France, where it looks like an increasingly well-networked terrorist mowed down 84 people, including young children, by driving a cargo truck across them. This is something that Al-Qaeda, for instance, has been suggesting to its adherents around the world for a long time. We're going to have to get a lot tougher, and we're going to have to move faster and hit them harder where they are in places like Iraq and Syria and Libya if we don't want them to hit us right here in the United States.
Do you worry they will also leverage this tension, these attempts at chaos here in the U.S., acting as, you know, individuals who maybe are not directly connected to an ISIS or an Al-Qaeda, but maybe inspired by them, and they look at what's happening in communities like Baton Rouge and try to turn that to their advantage as well?
Well, it's possible. But, you know, we didn't have many of these so-called inspired attacks until about 2 years ago when the Islamic State first rose to prominence and power in Iraq and Syria in the summer of 2014. If we were more aggressive with them in Iraq and Syria, as well as Libya, if we were taking the fight to them more aggressively, they wouldn't be nearly so inspiring. So I don't draw as much of a distinction between so-called inspired attacks or directed attacks as some do, because the result is the same. Innocent lives are being lost.
All right, Senator Cotton, thank you for stopping by today, and we'll look forward to your speech tomorrow night.
Thank you, Shannon.